So having the right people is very tough. That was a real struggle of mine. First of all, what really matters, first of all, you got to have the right marketing. The people got to know who you are. They got to know your culture. So what we started to do is started to shape is at our company, we do what I call a little bit of guerrilla marketing. We have a podcast too called Secure AF. So our logo is, it used to be called Alias Forensics. It's AF, right? Before the word became the word, you know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. But like we had Secure AF, right? And we have stickers that say, so offensive in our world means offensive, we're hacking. We have a label that says offensive AF, but we had to entice this kind of edgy, and people want to be a part of that. So we had to do the quick marketing. Definitely you got to have the money. And when you have the money, it does put pressure on that employee to perform because they know you will replace them quickly. And then you got to figure out what you want from them.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Growing your business requires people, but it's the right people. Today, we talk about the right people required for growth. Our special guest is the founder and CEO of Alias Infosec. They were number 2068 on the Inc. list this year. We talked with Donovan Farrow about right people required. We look at how he grew his business so fast. We look through the reboot that he had to do because he didn't have the right people in the right places. But he had to go down to 3 people to scale back up to 26. Now, that's an interesting part of this, but we also talk about the culture and the other elements that make his business work. Hopefully you'll get some ideas out of that. My hope is doing all these interviews with founders and CEOs that you get some spark of strategy or tactic that you can actually implement, and you see the value of coming back and listening again. Maybe it's sharing with this episode with someone else. But if you want to have a conversation with me about what's going on inside your business, whether it be your sales team, whether it be your emerging leaders, or anything that's getting in the way of you not truly executing at the level you know is possible, all you have to do is go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. Inside that, we'll go through a very specific plan to assess where you are. I've been doing this for a decade and I've got it organized, and I'll give you some insight and even point out some blind spots. That's my sort of zone of genius, if you will. If you are interested in that, it's absolutely free for the right kind of company. If you are a founder or CEO of a fast growth company, you don't have to be on the Inc. 5000, but you have to be growing. And that's what I'll help you do. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. Now, here's the interview with Donovan. Donovan, how are you?
Very well. How you doing, sir?
Great. We ran into each other and met each other at the Inc. 5000 conference this year in Phoenix. Good time, right?
Yeah, man, it was a blast. Just, I always say observation out of the gate. People want to know. It was nice. It was one of the first times in my life as a CEO founder. I didn't feel so alone. I was kind of lonely at the quote unquote at top. So it was very nice to talk to other leaders.
Well, that's one reason why we have this podcast, because there's no place to go to find information about how companies got to where they are. You were on the Inc. list this past year, 2068, quite impressive. The company name is Alias Infosec. Tell us about what you guys do.
Yeah, so we are a cybersecurity company. Companies engage us to do what's called pen testing, penetration testing. We're hackers, is what we really are. People pay us to see if we can break in as if we were malicious actors, test their security, test their response, and also give them a report and help them kind of fix the issues. We also do incident responses. If a hacker does take over your environment, we'll even negotiate with them, get access back to the company, regain the keys to the kingdom, and get it rebuilt back up. Very, very intense, very never a dull day.
You know, to be clear with this, it was pretty fascinating when I met you. You were talking about some of the stories that you have encountered, because you literally are, I don't know if you're climbing fences, but you're trying to get into places and talk people into letting you in and whatever it takes. Is there a story that comes to mind that kind of gives you a really good idea of what you're doing for clients?
Yeah, so we had this big bankruptcy company, and all we had was an address, and the goal was to see if we can obtain access and we'll say basically quote unquote steal data from the company. The first floor had this guard that had all kinds of monitors and stuff, and we were watching him, so we noticed he could go up and down stairs. Our goal was to figure out how to get to it. They had a name on the front door. We were able to basically piggyback on someone scanning a thing to get in. We made these fake folders that had like a case number because I looked up people on LinkedIn and see where they worked and had their names. And I said, I need to speak to these people right now. Hamlin, it's from a movie. Hamlin Guild is basically a fake law firm because we needed to talk to these people. And they said, no one's going to the 16th floor. You get out of here. So we were like, oh, 16th floor. Perfect. So one of my workers at the time, I was like, hey, man, do you smoke? He's like, nope. I was like, well, you do now. So he got a pack of smokes and he was out with the guys that were smoking for this company. And what he did is he was able to piggyback all the way up to the 16th floor. If you recognize there's a badge you can use when you badge into companies, it'll work on anything. It'll always beep, but it'll either go green or red. So he had one of them walk in front of him, badge in. He badged in and held it so it beeped, and he was able to get in. And I was able to get in through a door that I was able to pick a lock from the other side. And we actually walked through this bankruptcy company. We weren't supposed to be on the floor, and they were having a lunch. So we decided to make ourselves a lunch and sit down and hang out with the team. so, so we got food too.
So that's a really good example of penetration testing the old-fashioned way. Like there could be hackers, but you guys are actually just getting into these buildings and I guess giving reports back on vulnerabilities and things that they can do to improve their security, no matter what it is.
Yeah, correct. And even that was kind of the fun one. We do stuff like even getting into a few electric companies that supply a few military. Can we get into the electric company that supports that? Can we get into a midstream company that supports natural gas running through chemical companies? We do chemical companies. So you talk about something that can be not only dangerous to the company, but also dangerous to the citizens that live around it.
I love the business, and you just got so many stories. We could probably talk about this all day, but I want to ask you, we were looking at what does it take to grow a fast growth business. No one's going to be surprised when you say this, but it requires the right people. So what do you mean by right people required?
So it took me a while to figure this out. I feel like I definitely, and I would say, and this is maybe a silly quote that everyone reads, but no one sees my failures. Like I see my failures. Everything we put on LinkedIn is our victories. It's like the Facebook, right? Of your family, everything's perfect. We're all smiling. There's dogs, perfect pictures. So having the right people is very tough. That was a real struggle of mine. First of all, what really matters, you got to have the right marketing. The people got to know who you are. They got to know your culture. So what we started to do is started to shape is at our company, we do what I call a little bit of guerrilla marketing. We have a podcast too called Secure AF. So our logo it used to be called Alias Forensics. It's AF, right? Before the word became the word, you know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. But like we had Secure AF, right? And we have stickers that say, so offensive in our world means offensive, we're hacking. We have a label that says offensive AF, but we had to entice. It's kind of edgy and people want to be a part of that. So we had to do the quick marketing. Definitely you got to have the money. And when you have the money, it does put pressure on that employee to perform because they know you will replace them quickly. And then you got to figure out what you want from them, like a plan. And this may sound silly. I'm the most unorganized person ever. I really am. But I feel like that's what makes me a really good hacker. I don't have to think. I don't need a plan. I just do it. Whatever I come, I'm pretty agile. But I had to sit down and say, what do I want this person to do? And you guys may laugh because you're so busy with your job. You have to write a job description. It starts as simple as that. If you don't even have that, you don't even know what you want. You don't know what you need, because when you write a job description, that is your basically employment contract between you as the employer and the employee. That way, those guidelines are intact. It protects them and it protects you. It sets, here's what we want to do with your position. And it also helps guide them. You have to realize that if you are an entrepreneur, you're probably a very fast-paced, maybe not so much organized person, and you should probably hire someone who has the higher strength than you. I started hiring people that were kind of the almost polar opposite of me because I know that I'm not organized, and I know that it's hard for me to do a project. I can do something anytime of the day, at night, but project has been so tough. So hiring someone who was a weakness for me was one of the best points I've done.
Well, Donovan, I know that before we hit on the recorder, you were kind of getting into some of the the troubles you've had as you've grown this business. You were at around 10 employees and you had to do a reboot. What is a reboot for you?
So so that was a reboot. I probably should say it because I'm in IT, but technology. But so I got to a point where I had a team. It would hit that 3 spot to 7 and 10. And you guys know the slopes. If you read the scaling up book, if you don't, you should read that. It's really boring, but it's super important. Super important. I got to around 10 people, and then my manager, he wasn't a person that knew how to delegate correctly, and he started consuming all the work and not reporting it, not pushing it back on the team, which they should have done. And I got involved and found out we had some discrepancies in the deliverables. And I jumped back in and said, hey guys, here's how it's going to go. They didn't like that. And what I had to do, I had to reboot the company. So we went from 10 to 3 real fast, including myself. So I was one of the 3. From that, I realized that I needed to really focus in on the people I'm hiring, because again, it's hard as you're scaling up. You're just trying to pull people. Your budget not be enough. You feel like you just need a body. That may be true, but you're going to hurt yourself in the long end, and they're going to hurt you unintentionally with their job performance. So we had to go from 10 to 3. From that, we hired our first new person in January of 2020, and from that, I took the salary of those 7 people and hired someone at a high point, and allowed them to kind of help me build that leadership team. And using their skill set and their passion, they were able to allow us to hire on another executive. And that was how we kind of rebuilt that. And that wasn't that long ago, but we went from that, and now we're at, around 25.
Now, Donovan just been talking about the reboot. Now, here's a concept that I want you to think about. Marshall Goldsmith wrote a great book. What got you here won't get you there. Now, I'm not telling you to go read the book, even though it is a great book, but here's the concept. The people that got you here may not be the people who get you there. What that really means is the people that you started with may not have evolved quick enough as your company has grown. And you may be feeling the growing pains of that, the conflict of it, the stress, the overwhelm. You want to make sure that you are assessing, do you have the right people in the team? Sometimes you have to let those people go. I know you probably care for them. They've been with you for a long time, but sometimes you have to level up. And it doesn't happen just through coaching. Sad to say, coaching doesn't fix. Some people don't want to be fixed. Some people don't want to coach up. They want to do what they've always done. They really aren't really adaptable to the change that's going on. If you have those people around you, it's going to be tough as you continue to scale and create the predictable growth that you really want. Just my 2 cents, the people that got you here may not be the people who get you there. Back to Donovan. I appreciate you going back and talking about some of the things. A lot of leaders have come on here before and I've talked about mistakes they've made, and they're like, well, I've made so many, where do I start? And I appreciate the humbleness of being able to share that, the first round of employees didn't work out the way you wanted to, and you got to get smarter about doing it.
Yeah.
Donovan, you also talked about the importance of culture. You wanted to make a fun place. You wanted to make a place where you actually get work done too. What are some of the key elements you think that make your culture really work?
Yeah, so one of our things that we have at Alias Infosec, all I'm doing is I'm making a place where I want to work, like a place, because I've worked for a lot of big corporations. If you guys care to look that up, you can, it doesn't matter. But I didn't want the same plastic robotic thing, because the only thing you're going to get out of is people that are there for a paycheck, and that's it. Why do people most likely leave a company? It's because their boss sucks. That's it. The reason why they even stay is because they like their employees, at best, if that's even the case. So from us, we have a unlimited sick time. Vacation is very flexible. At the end of the year, and this is kind of a cool thing that they love is my company, is if you don't take vacation, this is my funniest, guys love this. It's anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks depending on your skill set. If you don't take that vacation, use it or lose it, which a lot of companies do. But Donovan and his company will disable your badge and make you go on vacation. But hey, I noticed you haven't taken vacation this year. We have disabled people's O365 account and their badge so they can't come to work. So forcing it on people to have time with their family, because it's super important. If your kid's sick, same thing. We go home, take care of your kids. You can always have a job, but your kids won't always be young. I got 4 of my own, and I'm not going to miss that. And I don't want my employees to miss that. I want a place where they can go be adults. We talked about earlier. We do have adult beverage. We have ping pong tables and video games. People, I would say it's kind of Google, but I would say we're the better Google. We do tech for good. Anyway, but But if you're hiring people who abuse, though, we have a workout system too. You come to work, you work out for 3 months, you get a $250, you get $1,000 a year. So I'm paying people to go to the gym. Go to the gym. It's healthy. It'll make your mindset. We have mental health benefits. I think the employers just think that everyone's there just to grind, and that's not balance. That's not life. You're living to work, and that's not fair. And you're going to regret it one day. I'm not going to do that, and I would never push that on my employees.
You said something that was really smart, but you went by it so fast. Hire adults.
Sorry.
Hiring adults seems like just, the normal thing where we've got places of work. These people are expected to do things, get projects completed. In your case, break into places. When you say hiring adults, what does that look like in your hiring process?
Yeah. So first thing we do is we and this is kind of where a lot of companies, I'll give you an example, work for a big company and they gave up free soda, which was really cool. I mean, soda, whatever you drink, doesn't matter. And there was one knucklehead that decided to drink 8 Mountain Dews a day. Well, they had someone on staff that says, hey, man, that person could get really sick from that, whatever. So they didn't take it away from them. They took it away from everybody. So hiring adults is someone that you can trust that if they go, I don't have a beer at work, or I don't know, have a late lunch or go to the gym later. If you can't trust them to do that, you need to fire them because it doesn't hurt. It hurts the company. And what happens is I'm sure everyone has this great plan to do these cool things and be different. And, all the millennials and the Zoomers have a good time, but they allow people to punish the company. If someone can't come to work on time, if someone can't take care of the benefits you give them and take advantage, fire them. Immediately fire them and let everyone know why they got fired. They took advantage of something and we're staying the same. If people can't be adults and take care of the benefits they're given, they don't deserve to be here.
Donovan's been talking about hiring adults. I've had quite a few potential clients come to me and say, my life feels like I'm babysitting adults and I don't know what to say to them. I know that it's real easy to blame the employees that maybe aren't acting like adults. But if we're really being honest with each other, I would say you've got to look at yourself first. You have to have a level of self-awareness around how did you contribute to this situation? And if you can't be honest with yourself, then you don't have control, because if you want to blame someone else, you're giving the control to other people. You want to make sure that you're addressing the gaps in your own leadership and the leadership of the teams around you. That is the key to your continued growth. Back to Donovan. I'm with you that as an executive coach, I'm having conversations quite often with either internal managers who are trying to have the confidence to lead. And I had one call this morning where we talked through the procedures to let someone go. But the big thing is, and Donovan, it's just, hire adults and treat them like adults. When you are leading your team and you're expecting them to, go out there and get these projects done, is there any core principle of leadership that really guides you?
I always try to treat people the way I want to be treated. And maybe that just sounds too, maybe the golden rule, but I worked for a lot of companies that didn't treat me, I didn't think, fair. And I always say, even my company, maybe I'm a little too transparent by fault, but I don't like to blindside my team. Now, you can't tell them everything. I understand that, but they should know how everything's flowing. They should know, they should handle that information responsibly. And if you think they're going to if you think they're going to say something or put you in a position of risk, then you hired the wrong person.
Agreed. I actually, if I'm giving speeches, one of the key elements inside that is we talk about ownership is the big idea. You want people to feel like owners. And if you're going to do that, you've got to be transparent with them. You got to be able to tell them the good, the bad, the ugly sometimes. And most of the time people will rally. If you are really transparent with your people, do they rally when they need to?
Yes, absolutely. They understand the need. If we're in a, as businesses go, you ever get in a financial pinch or a money squeeze, as they call it, let everyone know, hey guys, we're a little tight this month. I need everyone to buckle down. We got to do this together. And maybe that's a conversation a lot of people don't have. I have that with my team. I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, man, we're so successful. We got all this money, but that's not realistic. So if you bring them in on those conversations, they want to be a part of the team and they want the success maybe just as much as you do. Because if you can build a culture where they have a part in it and they actually have a say so, one of the things that I do, to kind of put this out there, is I have my entire team at the end of the year. They do a review. I review my whole company, but they review Donovan at the end of the year, and it's all anonymous. And sometimes people give me all fives. Some people give me all threes. And what you'll notice is the best thing you can do, that's humbling, first of all. And they appreciate that they have that feedback because it gives them more ownership. See, because that 2 thing, when it drops from a 3 to a 2, that's improvement area. The 5s that were giving me, I got a 4. And that's realistic where I can improve. And I think that's one thing that my team really loves, because they do get to review me at the end of the year anonymously.
I can appreciate that. We're going to wrap up this conversation, Donovan, but I want to go back to how you got here. You bootstrapped this thing. You started with just a couple of $20 bills. Is that about right?
That's right. It was the cost of an LLC through LegalZoom, I believe. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just saying I typed in LLC, and I know I needed one of those for something. And I'll try to be brief. The company started as it was Alias Forensic. We've evolved over time. People were getting thrown in jail for stuff they didn't do. If law enforcement or the FBI or any agency said you did something bad on a computer, there was never a third party that could say, oh, that's not what that means. Let me help you. I started as kind of I won't say social justice, but a justice thing for people who didn't understand computers, because if law enforcement says that you did something on a computer in this state, even the Midwest at the time, that was the expert, and you had no other entity to even check if they did their job correctly. And I say this all the time, whether people mess up on purpose or not on purpose, accidental, we're all humans and we all make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with the justice system and having a balance of investigation on how that came. So I came from there. People were getting broken into by hackers, and they said, well, Donovan, don't you do the forensics thing? Can you figure out how they get in? I'm like, totally. And they're like, well, we spent like $500,000 to protect us. How did they get in? I was like, you got to do pen testing. And that's when we started doing pen testing and helping companies through incident response. It was a customer need. And as it continued to grow, I got here, it was a justice system and it was a cool side hustle. And then all of a sudden it became a full-time job. I actually have an employee who works for me now who worked there full-time before I did. So his anniversary is before mine, I'm going to keep that going forever.
Donovan, thank you so much for sharing. Today we talked about, the right people and the right people required for growth. And I really appreciate you letting us inside your world of leadership and culture to let us know how we could grow our companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wow, what a great interview. I love the energy of our guests who are so excited about what they're doing and the team that they're creating. We talked today about the right people required for growth. Hopefully you have the right people. And if you have any level of transformation or conflict going on right now that you want some insight around, make sure you reach out to me. I'd love to help you. Just go to genehammett.com, schedule a call, and we can get to the heart of it. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, with courage. We'll see you next time.